Hi guys, welcome back. Nice to have everybody back. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. What a weekend that was. Wow, I have got to start with saying Donald Trump has got a guardian angel, hasn't he? That was unbelievable. I was literally getting ready to go to bed. My friend messaged me that it all pinged. It went nuts and I watched it all happen on Twitter. For something as major as that to happen, he's a presidential candidate, he's a former president. I mean, it was pretty big. Now, obviously, sadly, there were several people that were shot and one man lost his life, Corey Comprador. And I just find that so sad. He just went to a political rally with his family. He's 50 years old, 2 young daughters, a firefighter, and he gave up his life protecting his family when the bullets rang out. So a complete hero. He sacrificed himself to save his family. But my gosh, I was not. Nobody had Donald Trump being taken out on their bingo card. That's for sure. So moving on to the royals, before we talk about the football, that's a different story. I'm going to start off this video with talking about the Princess of Wales, who made her appearance back at Wimbledon for the men's finals. And she wasn't alone. She took along her daughter, Princess Charlotte. There were lots of cheers and clapping as Catherine made her way into the court. But when the real cheers and clapping came, I'll be honest, I shed a tear. I'm going to play a clip for you, those of you that didn't see it. This is the standing ovation and the round of applause that Catherine got as she entered the royal box. There were superstars like Tom Cruise, Benedict Cumberbatch, Julia Roberts. Everybody got involved.
The Princess of Wales.
Isn't that just absolutely beautiful? The love that everybody is showing Catherine just melts my heart. As I said, it made me shed a tear. It was the second time in a couple of weeks, actually, that a big, huge applause for someone who entered Wimbledon got me a little bit emotional. And the other one was this fine gentleman. He's a legend, isn't he? I mean, David Attenborough, what an incredible man, what an incredible life. He really is such a remarkable and incredible human being. Everything that he spent his career doing, showing us things that for many of us, we will never, ever have the luck or the fortunes to be able to see. And I could honestly sit there and watch any one of his programs at any given time. My personal favourite is The Blue Planet. It's actually what inspired me to start scuba diving. Now let's get back to Catherine and let's get back to Wimbledon. I'll be completely honest, I'm not a tennis fan. Most of you guys know that, but I can appreciate the sport. You know, the whole strawberries and cream thing, people drinking Pimm's. It is obviously a huge sport for many people. I respect it. It's just not my cup of tea. But for people watching and for being a Catherine fan, well, honestly, I was at my peak happiness watching her. She looked completely radiant, beautiful in that colour purple dress. There's not a colour yet that Catherine cannot truly pull off. She looked really good. I would say that she actually looked a bit healthier in the face. That video clip that came out that so many people were saying it wasn't her with William. Yes, it was her, but she'd obviously, as we now know, undergoing cancer and just generally fighting it. She'd lost so much weight, she did look a bit gaunt, but she does look a bit fuller and a bit healthier in the face here. And she just radiated happiness. You could tell that she was enjoying every moment of being there. Some incredible, beautiful photographs of our Princess of Wales. And it had many of us cheering, even if we didn't give a damn about the tennis. Now, obviously, the Princess of Wales took along her daughter, Princess Charlotte, and who was photographed being, I say, not coached by her mother, but gently guided along as the princess met a lot of the players. This is so important for the children, introducing them to this level of what is going to be fundamentally a huge part of their life as they grow older. I love the fact that William and Catherine are doing separate events with the eldest two. Obviously, Prince Louis is still a little bit too young to be going to engagements such as this. The way Princess Charlotte already conducts herself, she shows more grace and more manners than what a lot of grown women do. She really is such a lovely little girl. I love her dresses. I love the way Catherine dresses her. She really does dress her like a proper little lady. Auntie Pippa was also in attendance, the Princess of Wales' sister, who also looked incredibly pretty in a very similar style dress to Princess Charlotte. And you could see them happily chatting to each other throughout the match. And then obviously when Catherine had her duties to do, presenting the trophies. All of the family are so close, and you can see that by the lovely interactions that they have with each other. So many beautiful shots were taken of Charlotte and Catherine where they were laughing and smiling at each other. You can tell what a beautiful relationship that they have with each other as well. One of my favourite shots is when Pippa and Charlotte were both proudly looking on at Catherine as the whole of Wimbledon cheered the arrival of our fabulous princess into the royal box. I can imagine it was also an incredible moment for Catherine as well to have that much love directed at her, especially spending so long away from the limelight. Now, one thing I love about the Wales children is they're so animated and they are little carbon copies of their parents. It's literally they went copy and paste, and the expressions that Charlotte pulls throughout the tennis is fabulous. And you can see she looks so much like her father as much as she does her mother. Now, speaking of which, the Prince of Wales took his eldest son, Prince George, all the way over to Germany to watch our defeat to Spain. Oh, this house, this living room behind, this was a whole range of emotions. I swear, the entire atmosphere changed in here. One minute, my husband was very excited at the beginning and very, very hopeful. And then obviously we hadn't scored and Spain had scored. And then you just felt the air pressure in the room dip a bit. And then Palmer came on and he scored and he equalised us. My husband was a completely different man. It was lovely being in here. In the final few minutes of the game when Spain scored again, and that was it was game over, I tippy-toed my way out of the living room, went upstairs. And as much as I would do anything to make my husband feel a bit better when he's feeling sad, when it comes to football and losing such a big match like that, there's nothing you can do. It's just let them grieve, let them get on with it. And then he woke up the next day and he was perfectly fine. Now, despite the fact that we obviously did lose, it was still wonderful to see Prince William take along Prince George to such a big match. I love them in their little matching suits. They look cute. And they also twinned. There were some lovely photographs taken at the beginning of the match where they were shaking hands with, of course, our rivals, which were the Spanish king, King Philip, and then his youngest daughter, the Infanta Sofia. Prince George shaking hands here. He looks so grown up, doesn't he? And throughout this match, he and Prince William had me in fits of giggles. Watching them twin with their expressions, with the emotions, it was very, very sweet. But also what I found so wonderful, and I always do the same with Catherine, with Charlotte, it's the affection that they have with their children. They don't care, they are in the moment, and it was really, really beautiful watching father and son interacting with each other. And I love how they spend so much time with their children and have started doing these one-on-one events. It must be very special for Charlotte and for George, and I'm in no doubt that Prince Louis gets a lot of one-on-one time with his parents as well. Now, speaking of Prince Louis, he was later photographed in the evening with big sister Princess Charlotte as they were wearing their matching shirts as they were sat in front of the TV to watch the England v Spain. And I can imagine them both just sitting there cheering every time they see their dad and their big brother come on screen. But I thought it was a really lovely personal photograph for Catherine to have shared with the world. Now, moving on, we're going to go on to the King and Queen, who have been visiting some of the smaller islands surrounding England. This is the Channel Islands, and on Monday they arrived in Jersey, where I have to say King Charles is rather a hit with the ladies.
Your beauty, you're so handsome.
Now, thankfully, Mother Nature decided to intervene and decided to cool down the temperatures of some of the ladies that could not control themselves, and the heavens opened. Yes, a torrential downpour decided to hit Jersey on Monday at the exact same time, sadly, that the King was watching the King's Parade with Queen Camilla in Liberation Square. We saw the Jersey Field Squadron, veterans, cadets, emergency services, guides and scouts near enough get washed away, bless them. The King and Queen, because they are the King and Queen, were on a podium and they were watching. They had their umbrellas. There were some wonderful photographs taken by Chris Jackson, but I couldn't help but look at those little ones and think how soggy they were. All of the parents were there and they were cheering their children on. It's just one of those things, isn't it? Even though they all ended up a little bit soggy, it was still such a wonderful event for the children to take part in. And to be fair, most children don't mind getting a little bit wet. After the parade, their Majesties attended a tea party in St Helier and they met with lots of guests from the island's communities, including D-Day veteran Mr Ernest Thorne. Mr Thorne is Jersey's last surviving veteran who actually took part in the D-Day landings on Normandy Beach. And back in May, he'd had a very special portrait in his honour painted by local artist Jason Butler. Isn't this painting incredible? I honestly think after having seen this painting, Jason Butler should be put forward for the next time that we have one of our members of the royal family that want a portrait doing, because this beautiful, absolutely beautiful talent. Now, whilst we're on the subject of paintings, there's a story that came out. It's a bit old, so some of you will know about it, but some of you may not. It came out whilst I was in Spain, in Valencia with my husband, and then I forgot to bring it up when we came back. But it's the perfect time to bring it up. Dan Llewellyn Hall, who was the youngest artist ever commissioned to do a portrait of our late Queen Elizabeth, she sat for him in Windsor Castle in 2012. Well, he's done 2 portraits of Harry and Meghan and he's depicted them as historical royals. Reasons for me are unknown as to why he wanted to do this, but he's depicted Harry as Bonnie Prince Charlie, who was part of the Jacobite Rising in Scotland and is a Scottish national hero. And then Meghan, she was depicted as the White Queen, otherwise known as Dame Elizabeth Grey, who was Queen of England by marriage to King Edward. And she was deemed to be an unsuitable bride. Now, while she might have been an unsuitable bride for the royal family, she was the perfect bride for Harry, as I've said before. Those two should stay together like a happy little clam because they're perfect for each other. But it's the actual paintings, and it made me think of Dorian Gray, the fictional character where he's beautiful and he's young and he gets to stay young, but all of the bad deeds and terrible things he does, his painting becomes more monstrous and it becomes actually his weakness. When you look at these pictures of Harry, I think he's captured Harry's inner essence. And then when you go on to Meghan's painting as well, don't you feel like he's captured her inner beauty? After all the horrible attacks that they have done on Harry's family, after the way that they've treated their nearest and their dearest, I can't help but feel that the artists managed to capture their inner true selves. Now, that being said, it's clearly obvious that these 2 paintings will not be hanging inside any of the palace residences anytime soon or ever. But it seems it's not just Harry and Meghan's paintings that won't be inside palace residences anytime soon. Harry and Meghan will not be either. For the first time ever, King Charles has not extended his open invite for Harry and Meghan to join the royal family when they have their August retreat at Balmoral. Now, bearing in mind, Queen Elizabeth invited Harry and Meghan multiple times and to bring their children, they refused. Once Meghan got that ring on her finger, she decided she didn't need to keep up the pretenses anymore, and she was busy every Christmas and every summer holiday when the royals got together because, as we know, they were planning Megxit. Queen Elizabeth, obviously, as we know, she was very, very forgiving and she still wanted to see Harry and Meghan in the days before she died. Well, maybe not Meghan, but she certainly wanted to see Harry, of which he refused to do so. That's a regret that he's always going to live with. But the invites for Balmoral and for Sandringham was still kept, at least to the media, saying that they are always welcome. They will still always be family. Whether that would be true if they said, hey, we're jumping on a plane, we'll see you soon, you might have found that all of a sudden the palace residences were back digging up a moat. The King is keen for it to be a happy family occasion, which will see members of the royal family come together for just over a week to discuss plans for the future and unwind. Well, of course, why would you want Harry and Meghan there? They're not part of the royal family's future, and it's not exactly the sort of people you want around when you want to unwind. You would constantly be worried that they are filming you, secretly recording every word that you say. You would have security have to pat them down every time they came into a room. Lord alone knows what they would get up to inside palace residences. Harry and Meghan would no doubt be going around trying to steal the silver at this point. Now, it's clearly obvious that their noses have been put out of joint, that this was made public, that the invite does not extend to them during the time that the rest of the royals are there. Apparently, the king is open to Harry coming over after everybody has left, but whether that is true or not, I don't know. But I think this is a true story because counter stories came out quickly blaming Queen Camilla. So you can feel Harry's hand behind that, don't you? It's not my father that doesn't want me there, clearly. It's the evil stepmother. Me personally, I do not believe that Queen Camilla would make such a decision on her own. I think if anybody out of all of them is going to make that decision, it would probably be Prince William slamming his foot firmly down. But collectively, as a family, I believe that would be a decision by all of them. And Harry has shown himself, even recently, trying to lie to the public that the king was too busy with other priorities, shows that Harry is still intent on waging war. So of course, I think collectively that family would say, we want a holiday, we want to relax. We don't want them around. And when you think about it, Harry has betrayed more than just the Queen, more than just the King. He's done pretty much most of that family one way or another. Now, to finish off my royal stories, let's talk about a story that's come out. And I was like, that's not true. Actually, I think that might be true. And that is, apparently, even if the King did invite Harry and Meghan, Meghan would refuse because she is reportedly furious, raging with none other than the king himself. She's apparently so angry that Harry, this is where I thought, oh, it can't be true. Harry has reportedly tried to hold his wife back. He's had to stop his wife from angrily confronting the king. Now, this is where I thought, nah, bullshit, because as we know, Meghan wears her trousers in that relationship. I can't see Harry holding her back from anything, can you? But where some truth came into it was what she's mad about. Meghan apparently believes that the king is deliberately sabotaging her American Riviera orchard launch. Now, bearing in mind she launched in March, she's not sold any products. The only thing she's done is she's got her friends to roll around with bowls full of lemons in the grass, and she sent a few people some strawberry jams, with which most people didn't even admit that they got a jar of jam if she did send out 50. And then she's done, some dog biscuits and 1 of 2 raspberry jams. Perfectly timed for the Princess of Wales' first appearance at the King's birthday. So what's Meghan so mad about? What's Meghan got a bee in her bonnet about? Well, my favourite subject. Meghan believes that the king is deliberately sabotaging her American Riviera launch because the Highgrove estate has released a new batch of organic honey from the royal bees. The honey produced by the royal bees on the Highgrove estate is the organic soft set honey, and it makes a fantastic gift for food lovers, and it has a hint of lime. Sounds delicious. Aside from launching the Instagram account for RO, smack bang in the middle of the Diana Awards, Meghan's done nothing to promote it. She's done no marketing whatsoever. The last we heard, they had no staff. She was desperate for a CEO. There doesn't seem to be anything in place to make this seem like that it was a genuine business venture. But of course, the king is trying to sabotage her with his royal bees. The king started selling produce from Highgrove, including Duchy Originals, as far back as 1992. That's over 40 years of an incredibly well-established and successful brand. But no, in the run-up to Meghan's next failure, she wants people to believe that His Majesty has the time and inclination to try to sabotage his daughter-in-law's latest venture. If this is in fact true, it would seem that Meghan is becoming just as delusional as Harry. But this is where I think that story was in fact true, because as we know, Harry and Meghan take no accountability for their actions. We know they do the bare minimal. We know that they throw everything at the wall in hope that something will stick. We knew that Meghan launched this before she should have done, and she did it to try and get attention on her at the Diana Awards and trying to get attention away from Prince William. Standard, synchronise your watches to it. But the fact that she is trying to blame others already for what is obviously going to flop. It's going to join the list of everything else. Her book, The Bench, it would be on there by 40 by 40. What do you say? What's that? Google it. It was another project to big fanfare and it amounted to nothing. Exactly like everything else that they do and they touch because they want the money for doing nothing. That's why they got labelled lazy effing grifters. Of course, Meghan's jam was laughed at, but what makes me laugh at this all the more is she's blaming it on the royal bees. So it's hardly surprising or has come as no shock that Meghan is finding a way to blame what is going to be an imminent failure on members of the royal family. But you've got to laugh at this one, and I do think it's true because it's right up their MO, isn't it? It really is what exactly that they've done from the beginning. If anything fails, they're being sabotaged, and it's always got a link back to the royal family. To be fair, Meghan's always got a bee in her bonnet over something. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. I've been thinking of all these different bee puns. But on that note, I think that the royal family have taken a lot. They've taken a lot of abuse. There's been a lot of allegations. They've had a lot of lies said about them by two family members, one of which they loved and protected his entire life. So the fact that they have finally decided, you know what, we're done turning the cheek, you're not invited anymore, shows me that they have definitely decided enough is enough. On the plus side, because this has been made public knowledge, it means that we're not going to have the nonsense of they might come, they might not come, they are coming, they're not coming. Because, to be honest with you, most of us don't care, but it does get irritating. It's clearly obvious that those two will not be coming because they have not been invited by order of the royal bees. So on that note, guys, I'm going to buzz off before I start coming out with bee jokes, and I will see you really soon. Take care for now. Bye.